Hey.
I'd like to urge everyone to read a book by Colonel Prouty. That's Prouty. The name of the book is The CIA, Vietnam, and the Plot to Kill JFK. Now, it's not just a book about JFK. It's a book about the New World Order, and you can see a whole lot of things that are going on in the world today that Colonel Prouty refers to in his book, like the bringing down of the United States, the bringing us down to another level. Immigration, this whole thing is involved in that. And like your previous caller said, these kids aren't walking from Nicaragua to the Mexican border. They're being bused. They're being transported.
So who do you think's behind all this, David?
It's part of this New World Order thing, and I know people are tired of hearing that cliche, but it's another way to bring us down and divide us, and that's all it's doing.
Well,
let me bring up another thing.
Yeah, sure.
The marijuana deal. Washington just legalized marijuana. There was a book out called The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and I don't know if you've heard of that book. It's an old book. But it tells how the chemical companies during World War II era wanted to produce all of the paper and hemp and everything else. Not hemp, but rope and all that stuff. And the rope in that time was made from hemp, so which was marijuana. And they made that illegal. They bought off all the politicians. They put out a smear campaign on marijuana and killed it. And a lot of people still think it's the worst thing in the world, and it's really not. And Colorado's making a ton of money, and so will Washington. Now, Louisiana's always on a left tail end of everything, but if you look at all the money we're spending on jails, incarceration, police, judges, this whole thing, I can't give you a figure how much that would go away, but quite a bit would.
It's got to
legalize marijuana. And made the tax dollars.
It's got to go through the legislature. It didn't get anywhere in the last session, and I think it's going to call for new legislators.
Paying them off, then, wouldn't you think? There's too much money to be made here with taxes.
Law enforcement really is not behind it here, and they came out and testified against it, and I think that really doomed the bill. And when they came out against it, the legislators sort of backed away. We'll see if it changes next year. You might have to get a whole new legislature to really come on board with that, change the whole dynamic with law enforcement to see that happen here in Louisiana. But, David, good to hear from you. Appreciate your call. Thanks for joining us, 504-556-9696. Open line here in the program. Let's see if we've got Steve Sabludowsky with us. Steve, are you on?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Welcome. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing fine, although I will say this, I don't know if your camera's on. I feel kind of lonesome on this video right now. So
yeah, it's on. I don't see it, but we might have to reset at the break.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll take some more calls in a second at 504-556-9696. Steve, been talking about a lot this morning. Been talking about immigration. Been talking about what's going on with Nagin. Let me get your thoughts on Nagin being an attorney. Tomorrow's a big day when he'll be sentenced. I've been getting sort of predictions from our listeners as to what they think he's going to receive. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that he'll probably receive, 15 to 20 is my best guess. I mean, the thing is that the judge has already hit him with over $500,000 I guess payment obligation and restitution, and so I think that kind of tells you something in terms of where she might be willing to go with this. So it's really hard to, I think, to penalize, as far as I'm concerned. It's hard to penalize one of the defendants. 17, I think he got 17 years.
Mark St. Pierre.
Mm-hmm. St. Pierre and Nagin, getting less. It's just, I think that would be really difficult.
I predict it is going to be less. I predict we could be looking at 10 to 12 years. So, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, Judge Berrigan isn't viewed as the most conservative judge in that district. Wouldn't you say? She's have more of a liberal reputation?
Yeah, I certainly, I mean, that was certainly her reputation before she became judge, and I think it's still her reputation. But that doesn't mean that, that she would not. I mean, she's got to follow the guidelines, and I think as one of the newspapers reported this past weekend, she's just limited within those guidelines. And in terms of points, I mean, he's an elected official. Question is whether or not he was leading the conspiracy. I mean, that's something. I mean, certainly, I think that in terms of Mark St. Pierre, he was not an innocent bystander, and so particularly to what extent did Nagin benefit? How much of the city contract actually had gone through per account, and what didn't go through, and of course, to what extent was Nagin, what kind of scienter or knowledge did he have at the time? And so I think he figured in, and I think that liberal, conservative, I think everybody's going to be bound, to those general factors, subject to interpretations and certainly biases. But I don't think that there's a whole lot of room that they have in terms of with these federal guidelines, because you always risk the possibilities of appeal.
Our talk line 504-556-9696. Jeff Crouere here. Steve Sabludowsky with us. Steve, tomorrow the president goes to Texas. Rick Perry had initially said he wouldn't meet with the president at the airport, wanted a more substantive meeting. The president has now agreed. The crisis of the border seems to be garnering more attention. Your thoughts?
Well, I do think that there's, I mean, this is really a crazy thing. I'm glad that, quite frankly, that the president has decided, I mean, it looks really bad. I mean, just really pitiful, quite frankly, to go on two fundraisers actually down in Texas, and just ignore what's going on down there in terms of his appearance. Appearances matter. It mattered again with George Bush and his trying to deal with this from way above the city, up in the airplane, and it matters now. So I think that he certainly. I think Rick Perry did the right thing, and I think that Obama has got to at least begin to discuss the issues. Now the question is whether Perry is going to do a jindal. I mean, if you remember during the oil crisis, the BP wars is what I call it. Governor General at the time was trying to negotiate with Obama, and then he has these private discussions with Obama, and then he ends up writing a book. Meaning General writes a book about this, and puts himself in the changed the title in the subject of the book, made it the BP spill all, so to speak, and so I wonder what kind of politics Rick Perry may play. He, as I understand, is strongly considered running for president, and so presidential politics does come into play here on all sides.
Last night you had Jason Chaffetz, a Republican from Utah, saying Mitt Romney's going to run for president in 2016 and win, saying that Mitt Romney will be the next president of the United States.
Well, that's always that possibility. We'll see. I mean, I've heard on different, I think, TV that Romney is in fact considering. People believe that that he is beatable. He is a moderate. He calls himself, what was the term?
Severe conservative.
Severe conservative, yeah. So, we'll see. One thing that I think that he's, mistake he's not going to make, and that is that, and this is just a problem with the Republican Party primary, and that is that, the primary voters are very, very, very conservative, and so as you've heard and read and all that, they steer the candidate way out, to the right, and to a point where you can't win. And I understand, and we had this debate all the time as to whether or not you and I have this debate all the time as to whether or not a real conservative, can win, and I think given the demography and all, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Well, I think the right moderate conservative, or can win. But I know, at least in my mind, a ultra conservative cannot win.
All right, that's your view, and you're sticking to it. I'd like to try a conservative, see how that conservative could do. We've certainly tried several moderates in a row, and they've lost. If they nominate Romney again, that's just a suicide mission for the party, in my view. Let's take some calls. Steve, 504-556-9696. Steve Sabludowsky with us. It's BayouBuzz.com, where you can check out our Google Hangout. You can also listen on the airways right here on WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com. Let's see what our friend Michael on a cell phone has to say. Hey, Michael, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I think it's a complete waste of time, but you can do it anyway. For our great commander-in-chief to meet with Rick Perry. This guy, Rick Perry, is so dumb he couldn't spell cat. If you spotted him, the C in the A, we've all seen him on national TV. So what Obama will learn from an idiot like that is zero. Now,
can he spell oops? I'm just wondering, can he spell oops? Can Rick Perry spell oops?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. Go ahead, Michael. What you got?
Please nominate somebody like that, Jeff. I want somebody like that to be nominated. You and I agree on that. Anyway, the reason Mount Rushmore, one of the many reasons, I can only give you a few right here. Mount Rushmore awaits the great commander-in-chief. Number one, all the other presidents tried to get Osama bin Laden. Hey, he got him. Check mark. Number two, they saved us from the worst depression of all time. And number three, stock market rising the highest of all time. Number four, he reduced the unemployment rate from 10 to 6. Number 5, he didn't get in any wars. He kept us out of wars. In the past, these generals always can control the presidents, like LBJ in Vietnam. He got control, JFK at the Bay of Pigs, stupid Bush and Cheney in Iraq. But when they said, let's go in Syria, let's go in Ukraine, he said, no, I'm not getting the American people in that. I'm too smart for that.
Well, Michael, he wanted to go into Syria, buddy. He wanted to go in there. It was the American people who said no. And by the way, we're still in Afghanistan, my friend. We're losing more troops in Afghanistan under Obama than Bush. So you can spin it any way you want, and let's talk about the economy. We have more people now outside of the workforce than ever. Food stamp recipients are up 15 million since he started. Poverty is up. So we can battle statistics all day long. All right, quick time out. We'll be back.
A mother once overheard her little boy explaining the basics of Christian theology to his little sister. You see, he said, it was Jesus' job to die for our sins, and it's our job.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Your video is frozen. Is there any way to restart it?
My video is frozen?
Yeah.
Okay, because I can see my video. Are you sure my video is frozen?
Can you see my video?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, because Rudy restarted mine, but yours is frozen. I can't see. You're not moving.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Look on the website. Maybe it's not working on yours. By the way, we are on right now. Let me look on the website and just see what it looks like.
Okay. Well, I can't. I just have a.
The word home. Log on to Route66Life.com and get your roadmap for life. Route 66. Start your journey home today.
The city's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa. The Woodhouse Day Spa finally brings the spa experience to New Orleans you had to go out of town for. The Woodhouse Day Spa, 4030 Canal at Carrollton, or call 482-6652 for an appointment.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. Young's Dry Cleaning comes to you, home or office, East Bank or West Bank. To get on Young's free pickup and delivery list, call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House, 3117 21st Street, open Monday through Thursday from 11 to 9, Friday and Saturday till 10. Serving the freshest Louisiana seafood. Come get oysters raw on the half shell, charbroiled, and more. Try our cold or hot appetizers. The catch of the day are our barbecue shrimp bubble. Enjoy a great pasta dish, crawfish etouffee, or shrimp and grits. But save room for dessert. Dine in our beautifully renovated dining rooms, on the patio, or belly up to the bar to watch the home teams play. Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House in the old Bozo's location at 3117 21st Street in Metairie.
Ringside Politics with a Punch and Jeff Crouere are on the air now. Your opinion is valued. In fact, if you like your opinion, you can keep your opinion. And I know you've heard that before. You can believe that's the truth. Call Jeff Crouere now at 556-9696.
All right. Hey, cruising through an open line, taking more of your calls, 504-556-9696. And Steve Sabludowsky with us of Bayoubuzz.com, and you can join us too. Talking about a lot of different issues this morning, from what's going on with the Nagin sentence to, of course, what's happening with the border crisis. President going to Texas tomorrow. We'll be meeting with Governor Rick Perry. And we could touch on what's happening in Mississippi. Steve, the challenger has decided to challenge those election results of Chris McDaniel. He's been encouraged by Ted Cruz and others to do so. As someone who's a legal expert as yourself, do you think that's got a prayer of succeeding?
If he has evidence, I think he ought to go and prove his case. And I mean, that's what I think he ought to do. He says that there's an incredible amount of voter fraud, and so, whether or not he can prove it or not, I think that's really the question.
And they've accumulated a lot supposedly, so we'll see how that proceeds. This morning, Sarah Palin's.
Let me just say, I mean, and we talked about this last week. I mean, certainly I don't think this be any kind of double voting. I mean, I think the whole system's screwed up. You shouldn't have these crossovers. And that's true in Mississippi. It's true, I think, South Carolina, perhaps, and some other states during the presidential primary. Mm-hmm. And although the systems may not be exactly the same, but I think the Republicans got benefit of that kind of crossover in the past, and maybe not to the same extent as this. But it's up to McDaniels to prove it, rather than to complain. I mean, get out there and prove it. I agree with Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Get out there.
Now, speaking about our Senate race, this morning, ads started airing for Colonel Rob Maness with former Vice President Sarah Palin endorsing him. What kind of an impact do you think that'll make?
Overall impact?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think much. I mean, I really don't. Not an overall impact. I don't think that, I mean, in this overall scheme of things, is Sarah Palin going to help get Rob Maness up from roughly, 5, 6, 7% up to, 25, 30, 35%? Or to get him up even over, close to 15%.
Well, the latest poll, I think he was at 8%, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I see that a number of these Republican organizations. I think St. Tammany being one, and Rod Menace isn't he on the executive committee of the St. Tammany Republican Party? Or he's some official, believe in, and he didn't even win that. So I think the Republicans feel that they have no other choice. They're going to hold their nose and vote for Dr. Obama light.
Do you think the revelation about his daughter being pregnant, a 17-year-old daughter, is going to have an impact one way or another? He announced it the other day, and I guess got in front of the story. Maybe had heard that it was going to be released, and made a statement about it.
Yeah, any impact? I don't know how it would have any impact to start with. I don't know what the issue would be. I mean, that she's just another one of the 50+% of the kids nowadays who give birth to kids and they become unwed mothers. Is that a story just because he's a Republican?
I'm asking you. I mean, he made a statement about it, so obviously he felt the need to comment on it publicly.
Yeah, I don't see how. I don't know what the story would be. I mean, had he not commented, what would the story be? I mean,
I guess just the story that she had was pregnant. I mean, and as you say, it's something that is not that unusual, really.
Yeah.
All right, let's get some calls in. 504-556-9696. Jeff Crouere here. Steve Sabludowsky with us. It's ringside WGSO. Also on Bayoubuzz.com via Google Hangout. Our friend, the Flaming Liberal, chiming in now. What's going on, Flaming Liberal? Good morning.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Good morning to you and your guests. Jeff, before I comment on 288,000 net new jobs and a 6.1% unemployment rate, let me say, Jeff, as the late, great Robert Novak would have said, isn't it true Joan Rivers' husband, Edgar Rosenberg, committed suicide when he woke up one morning and saw his wife without makeup and saw the worst case of ugliosis, acute ugliosis that could only be cured with about $10 million of plastic surgery? Isn't that true why Edgar Rosenberg chose to end it all, Jeff? And one other thing, I have a question for our friend Daniel in Mandeville. As a person who supported the child, heavily contributed to the support of a child who's not my biological daughter for more than 20 years, who made a perfect score on her ACT, thanks to my wonderful molding of her intelligence, Jeff, and also who has a job making some heavy-duty money. I'd like to know how many children who Daniel is not the biological father of supported, as I have done for many, many years, heavily contributed to the support of a child that's not his biological daughter. I suspect the answer is 0, so shut your ugly trap, Daniel. Now, Jeff, to do my impression of Dana Carvey, 288,000 net new jobs, 6.1% unemployment. As George Bush would say, remember when Michelle Bachmann said Obamacare was going to cost jobs, and it was bad, bad, bad. And Jeff, you and all the other Tea Party people said you can't tax the job creators. Well, President Obama raised taxes on the wealthy. It would hurt capital formation. It'd be bad, bad. It would hurt Wall Street. It would hurt the jobs market. It would be bad, bad. Jeff, what do you think about all these insane predictions now that we have
let me ask you this, Flaming Liberal.
Idiotic, unsupported ideas.
What do you make of the fact that our labor force participation rate is at its lowest point since Jimmy Carter? What do you make of the fact that we have 92.2 million people that are outside of the workforce? What do you make of that?
Evidently, you don't listen when I talk. My email address is
listening to you.
53@gmail.com. I'll send anyone an article who's interested, because that statistic is totally felonious. It's false. It's based on people who have dropped out of the workforce because the stock market has done so well and they retired early.
Oh, really?
So
they're all just millionaires living off the stock market. I don't think so, Flaming Liberal. Also, you've got the whole situation where in the first quarter of the year, we had negative economic growth. You forgot to mention that, my friend. And, of course, all the rise in costs that Americans are facing and these jobs that you're so highly touting, the wages aren't keeping up with inflation, my friend. All right, more with Steve Sabludowsky, more of your calls. Quick time out. It's Ringside.
WGSO 990 AM, serving New Orleans, Louisiana for 60 years with the American way.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Can you do another segment?
Yeah.
Can you reboot it so that
No,
we can maybe...
I can't, but what I'm doing is I'm toggling this so that when you're speaking, people can see you.
Okay.
And they see me, fine. If they don't, that's okay. I was playing around with it.
Okay, well, that might have been one of the problems. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Tomorrow for 2 Democratic fundraisers. Now, today, the president asking Congress for $2 billion to process and care for all the kids, illegals flooding our country.
The Israeli government now giving military permission for up to 40,000 additional reservists as it steps up its offensive on the Gaza Strip. The decision coming just hours
It is ringside WGSO, 990 AM, WGSO.com. One more segment here with our special guest, ringside all-star who joins us on Tuesdays, publisher of Bayoubuzz.com, Steve Sabludowsky. And, of course, so you can check out this interview at Bayoubuzz.com via Google Hangout and also here on the airways at 990 AM and WGSO.com. Steve, word just coming in right now from the Obama administration. It's requesting $3.8 billion from Congress in emergency funding to deal with the influx of unaccompanied minors from Central America, a far higher amount the administration had previously signaled, according to Capitol Hill sources. The money would go to programs such as Justice, Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, and it would be also allocated to build additional facilities down there at the border for the influx. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it's just a shame. It's a shame that we're in this kind of situation where we're spending that kind of money, and I know that there's back and forth in terms of who's responsible, and I think there's a recent poll that indicates that the country definitely wants immigration reform now rather than later, and I think that this is that poll's up on Bayoubuzz, by the way, and so everything I hear from the Obama administration, at least, including today, was that that most of these kids are going to be going back unless they can prove that they have a legal right to be here. And I think that's sort of understood that they don't. So how they're going to go back is a different issue. And I heard some of you callers about there being a conspiracy and one world order and all that, and
a leaked internal Department of Homeland Security document, you can check it out on Breitbart.com, says that 99.9% of the illegals will not go back.
Okay, so
we're talking about the children.
Yeah.
So they're saying they're not going to go back.
Okay, well, I'd like to know, who is the source of that, and I'm not saying. I mean, would you read what it says? Because I haven't read it.
The leak report's release date is identified as June 3rd, 2014, and the internal report was leaked to Breitbart by a trusted law enforcement source in DHS who wishes to remain unidentified. The report, identified as law enforcement sensitive, reveals the fact that only 0.1% of Central American minors illegally entering the U.S. Having been deported in the fiscal year 2013. That's down from 2% prior. So in the fiscal 13 year, only 0.1% of the minors from Central American countries were sent back. So the question is, this year we've seen a bigger influx from Central American countries. Would those minors go back in the same numbers, which is barely any of them, or would we see a higher percentage go back?
Well, I mean, that's an extrapolation of a fact that I'm not so sure that is correct or not. I mean, it could be correct. It's certainly not saying that that's an opinion, by the way. It's the leak report. The leak report, from what I understand you're saying, is that the minors, from last year have not gone back. So therefore, you can assume they're not going to go back from this year. In greater numbers. I don't know if you can draw that conclusion.
Well, it looks like in 2012, 2% went back. So in 2013, 0.1% went back. So question is, okay, let's say this year we do a better job and send 3% back. That still means 97% of them are here. I mean, it's still out of control. I mean,
not necessarily. I mean, the thing is that how many people back in 2012 even knew that the minors were crossing the border?
I've been talking about this issue for 15 years on the radio.
But this has become an
issue that's been a top issue. I mean, it comes and goes. Now it's been at the top for months, but I'm saying usually it's been an issue that every few months rises to the forefront.
Yeah, and I think that to conclude that that Obama is not telling the truth, or that his administration is not telling the truth about this in terms of they're returning they're returning back, the kids returning back. I just don't know if you can say that at this point in time with all the visibility, exposure, and all.
We disagree, but listen to Rick Perry. He thinks the administration's either A, inept, or B, doing this on purpose. And, I mean, he's got a front row seat to what's going on, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I certainly would like to know, I'd like to hear what he has to say. I mean,
yeah,
to me, it's really disturbing. You have these kids who are involved like this, and I'd like to know more. I don't want to hear theories. I want to hear facts.
Let's take some calls. 504-556-9696. Our friend Adam in Pearl Rivers checking in with us. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Hey.
Jeff, I'd just like to add a couple of options to Tony's suggestion for birth control first. And that would be to have a photo of Mary Landrieu or Hillary Clinton readily displayed. That's just a couple more options for those interested. But on a more serious note, in relation to Rick Perry,
yes,
I really think Rick Perry is making a mistake by even considering meeting with Barack Obama, because in effect, he is lending credibility to Barack Obama. He is inferring that credibility to a person who doesn't deserve that credibility. I think he would have really demonstrated what many true feelings are about Barack Obama had he refused him to even greet him at the airport. We're talking about a guy responsible for the killing of 4 Americans unnecessarily, could care less. We're talking about a guy who illegally had a border agent killed by illegally transporting guns across the border. We're talking about a guy who has made moot the death of thousands of young Americans through his policy of retreat from Iraq. We're talking about someone who does not deserve one iota of respect.
So if you were advising Perry, you'd say stay away.
Well, I'm questioning Perry's judgment at this point by even what does he hope to accomplish by meeting with this type of individual? He may as well be meeting with Satan himself. I'm going to question Rick Perry's judgment for the presidency based on this particular move.
All right. Let's, Adam, appreciate you. Thanks for the call. Steve, your thoughts?
Well, I respectfully disagree with Adam, and I like what Adam has to say a lot. I disagree with him, but I think he's a very, very thoughtful person, and I think that Obama is the president of the United States, whether you like it or not. I mean, he is the president. The majority of the people voted for him, and they voted for him big. And so he's the president.
I wouldn't call it big, Steve. I wouldn't say big. He won with one election with 53%, the next election with 51%. That's not big. The election in terms of the electoral college, that was not big. Electoral college, I'm talking about percentage of the vote.
Okay, but electoral college is what matters, as we know.
Of course, he can't even hold Congress. He's got no coattails.
Well, I mean, no president has coattails. No president has coattails in the off year. I mean, and we know that in the off year. So, I mean, it's very rare that anybody's. I mean, but he's president. So if you want to fix a problem, you go to the person who is in the best position to fix the problem.
Okay. All right, 504-556-9696. Paul is with us in Lakeview. What's happening, Paul? Good morning.
How you doing? I pretty much echo what Adam said. I'll just say this. According to all of these scandals, according to the president, are gross fabrications. I mean, come on. they're not fabrications. These things happen.
Well, he called them phony.
Huh?
He called them phony scandals.
Yeah. Well, are they phony, or did these scandals actually happen?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? He called them fabrications and this and that.
Right.
And it's all the Congress' fault. It's all the Congress' fault. So I'm going to bypass Congress. If you look at the Constitution, which he doesn't, the first branch they talk about is the legislative branch, who makes laws. The president administers. He wants to make the laws, doesn't he? He wants to make them and administer them all at the same time. You see, that's the seriousness of this thing. And as far as Mitt Romney goes, do you really want a loser back in there?
No.
Running for president?
No.
You want a person that says he's severely conservative? I mean, come on.
No.
This is why he lost the election.
Yes.
By saying stupid things.
Yes.
You don't want a Jeb Bush, a Chris Christie, a Mitt Romney. You don't want that, because if that runs against Hillary Clinton, even though Hillary Clinton has several medical problems, I think she's got brain problems myself, but she's got several medical problems. Do you want one of those running against her?
Heck no.
You see, that's a losing combination.
And that's what we're fighting against, Paul. We gotta, and the fight is on, because they're pushing Romney now. I see it on Fox News. They're pushing Romney now.
How insane can you get?
I hear you. They were insane to nominate him last time.
We need a conservative. I don't care whether it's Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. Let's get a conservative. Let's try this for a change.
That's what I say. I think you and I are on the same wavelength there. Appreciate you, my friend. That's Paul in Lakeview. Steve, a lot of worries about Mitt Romney, at least among folks that I'm talking to within the listening audience and within the GOP. I guess some of the establishment really is going to be pushing him again.
Yeah. Jeff, let me ask you a question, and I know I'm opening up a can of worms here, and I hear the demonizing of President Obama, and look, I think that the IRS issue is certainly an issue. The lost emails, does Obama know about that? I don't know. Was he responsible for it? I don't know, but I do think that he has a responsibility to go and to crack down on it. But again, to demonize him and say that he's just, he is like the very worst. He is evil. Let me just ask you this. I have read, and I don't know this for a fact, and I've seen on different news pieces, and that President Bush and his administration actually got us into Iraq, knowing that there wasn't weapons of mass destruction, got us into Iraq, which is really where a lot of these issues and a lot of the problems have occurred, and in terms of the Middle East, the recent issues in terms of Iraq. So if he intentionally got us into Iraq, then shouldn't we be really outraged over that? And
but Steve, yeah. We're going to keep reliving the Bush years. Again,
yes, we are.
When does this guy take responsibility for his administration?
No. That's
6 years into this,
Jeff. That's what I'm saying. I think you should take responsibility.
I want to bring up Jimmy Carter and all his problems.
I know you do, but the thing is that
let's go back to Kennedy.
But
FDR. FDR set us all in this whole motion with this New Deal.
Jeff, I'm talking about.
Point fingers at him.
Jeff, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that President Bush and his administration intentionally got us into a war that has cost us a few $1 trillion and 15,000, 20,000 dead and more injured? Do you think that he?
I think that.
Well, first of all, did he do that?
That is irrelevant to the border crisis that we're talking about right now, to the fiscal crisis that we're talking about right now. And what about the problems with Barack Obama in Iraq? That's excusing what Obama did in Iraq?
It's not. No, it's not. Okay. What I'm talking about is I'm talking about the demonizing. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
No, It doesn't excuse Obama. It doesn't excuse Obama.
And liberals like to say, "Oh, well, Obama's being demonized," when Bush is still being demonized.
No, I'm just asking you,
Bush.
I'm not demonizing.
Are we going to be bringing up Obama 6 years after he leaves office and blaming everything on him? Can we still do that?
Jeff, I'm asking you a question. Do you believe that that happened? Do you believe that the Bush administration intentionally hid information, okay, and misled the world in terms of weapons of mass destruction?
You had a vote in Congress. Democrats signed off on it. You had a vote before the UN. UN resolutions were passed. You had, didn't you, the other day we just talked about ISIS getting hold of a chemical weapons dump there, where aren't those weapons of mass destruction, chemical weapons?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. If there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, where did all these chemical weapons come from, and what are they? Aren't those weapons of mass destruction?
Well, first of all, before we go in there because of chemicals of weapons of mass destruction, I think that the American people are certainly going to be very, very certain that the information that the American government, Obama administration, Bush administration, whatever, is providing to us is in fact true.
You trust the Obama administration?
Do I trust the Obama administration? My question: did you trust, and do you trust the Bush administration?
I don't trust any administration, Steve. I don't trust anything that the government tells us, whether it be Bush or Obama. I think the government. I think the government continually lies to us.
Okay, so that being the case,
being the case, stay out of Iraq as far as that war. Bring our troops home from Afghanistan. Obama hasn't done that. We've been 6 years now, and Obama troops are still in Afghanistan. We've got crises that have gotten worse all over the world. Obama was supposed to heal the world. Again, it's gotten worse. So all this bringing up George W. Bush, I just find sort of infuriating, because it's like excusing Obama and his mistakes.
Okay, maybe other people are trying to excuse Obama, and I'm not. Okay. Obama has made a lot of mistakes in domestically and in foreign policy. However, to demonize him, to basically say that he's illegitimate, and without saying the same thing about the actions and possibly even worse actions by a former president that got us into the war, then to me that is very inconsistent and unfair.
All right, but Obama has had 6 years to deal with whatever George W. Bush did, and instead of making anything better, he's made it worse. So I would say, from the foreign policy to the domestic policy, Bush was a disaster. Okay, I don't ever praise George W. Bush on pretty much anything except tax cuts. But Obama has taken a bad situation and made it worse. So I say Obama is Bush on steroids. That's my view. Let's bring on some more calls. Dan in Building 7. Welcome to the program, sir. Good morning.
Well, Jeff, I'm calling late because I had to wake up extra early this morning and work hard, put some extra hours in so I can pay more taxes to pay for the illegal aliens that are invading our country. Let me make a point here, and then you and I have been talking for years,
right?
And I've heard your guest on several times, and I generally turn it off when he's on. But let me say this: 2 points. You remember just a couple of months ago when the rancher in Nevada had his issues with BLM, and the Patriots and the Minutemen and the militia group showed up armed to the teeth and were willing to fight and die over a matter of land rights. You remember this.
Of course.
Your memory's good. The same thing, I predict to you today, that the same action is going to take place at the border. I don't know what state it will be yet, but the same action is going to take place. You're going to see the militia and the Minutemen armed to the teeth, willing to fight, draw blood, and die over this invasion. And I tell you, Jeff, and I've said it before on the air, I'll say it again, we're heading for a civil war in this country, and my God, it's going to be ugly.
it will be the damnedest, ugliest, nastiest.
What kind of timeline are you predicting, Dan? How soon are we from that kind of catastrophe in your view?
Before the next presidential election.
Wow. All right.
And I'm working, so I got to make another stop here, so I can pay my taxes, so I can pay for these illegal sons of guns over at the border right now.
So you can pay for the $3.8 billion we're going to be spending there. Dan, I appreciate you. Thanks for your call. Steve, he's worried about what's coming. I don't think Dan's alone. Certainly, this can't keep happening without there being some real negative consequences.
I think there are wackos all over this country on both extremes, and God forbid if they're stupid enough to try to take this country down.
Let's take some more calls. 504-556-9696. James in Metairie is with us. What's going on, James? Good morning, sir.
Jeff, good morning to you, Steve. Hi. Jeff, folks, everybody, Ringside Politics, home of the aging, declining, diminishing white conservative male. Jeff, you had some jackhole this morning who said he wouldn't shake hands with the President of the United States, Barack Obama. Another piece of Louisiana conservative filth, in my opinion. This guy has advocated secession. That's advocating treason. And if I were Barack Obama, here's what I would say to him, Jeff. I would say, why would I shake hands with you, you moral degenerate scumbag? You advocating secession. You're advocating civil war. You're advocating going to war with the United States of America. You're advocating killing United States Army soldiers, Marines, sailors, Coast Guardsmen. You're advocating killing our military personnel, just as they did back during the 100 and some 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So why should I shake hands with you? Because you are acting and advocating exactly what Al-Qaeda and Taliban is advocating today, killing American troops. You piece of filth.
James in Metairie. All right, we got about a minute. I want to give it to Frank in Picayune. Hey, Frank, if you could make it quick, go ahead, sir.
Okay, Jeff. I wonder how James and these liberals feel about Bill Ayers if they see an interview with Megyn Kelly and that. He wanted to blow up innocent American, destroy property, but he's not a filthy piece of crap. But this whole immigration deal, it's the Catholic Church is behind this because they recognize that 80% of these people coming over here are Catholic, and they're behind this stuff also. And if they really, believe, they ought to tell them, we'll come in my churches and we'll support you and we'll take care of you. And all these liberals that support blindly everything Obama does with this immigration and everything else, they ought to take them into their house then if they support Obama.
Why don't we send them up to the White House?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
These liberals are so hypocritical and idiot and ignorant. They're comical almost. If they wasn't serious, they can't be serious. Anyway, that's all I got.
Well, we got a serious issue at the border, my friend. And Steve Sabludowsky, good discussion. We'll be following BayouBuzz.com. I'll have a column there later on today. Be sure to check that out, folks. We got special guests joining us the next two segments, so hang with us right here on Ringside.